Okay, everybody. Welcome to Equip Night. My gosh. Guys, this is super fun. I'm really everybody. I'm really excited about tonight. Sorry, we're using a brand new kind of software today, and so I'm really excited. So real quick, we're about to have Abby come on. Abby's jumping on right now. Tried twice. Hey, she's on. How you guys doing tonight?
Hi.
Hello.
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Hi, Joseph.
And I missed you guys yesterday. I didn't get a chance to see you.
I know. Felicia filled in for you.
Jude's highlight was he said he got to see Brandon.
Man, I had to creep up on him while he had all his Laker gear on, and then I had to wish him a happy Thanksgiving. It was good seeing those guys.
First thing he told me when he came home was, I got to see Brandon for like 5 minutes.
That was cool.
We had fun.
Yeah.
I love that. So I just want to let everyone know, welcome everybody. People are logging on like crazy. If you're watching on Facebook or the website, or if you're Congregation.Family or watching on YouTube, let us know where you're watching from tonight. Say hi to us. Olga, hi. Curtis, hi. Laura, how you doing? We see everybody's comments, and so give us a shout out. One, I just want to say how excited I am. So tonight is Equip Night, but we're doing something really special. Hi, Tammy. We are doing a Equip Night Family Strong MASHUP. So we're mashing the two shows together. Many of you guys who are watching tonight know that Joseph, Mendoza, Abby, and Brandon have a really great show that happens every Thursday called Family Strong Roundtable, in which you guys have different guests on. You discuss everything related to family. But what's cool about tonight is that tomorrow's Thanksgiving. And so, we got to be nice and, not work on Thanksgiving. So we were like, what's the next best thing? And that was for all of us to come and join all tonight. So tonight it's a mashup. It's like both our shows coming together, which is super fun. Hi, Jorge. Hi, Renee. Barbara from Houston, Texas. We see you guys keep commenting. So tonight is special, and we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving, what it means to be thankful, and how to really live a life of thanks living. Especially now, 2020 has been crazy. I think it's been crazy for everybody. But I think during seasons like this, during the holidays, there's something about Thanksgiving where we just get the opportunity to be thankful for everything we do have and everything God is doing in our lives. What a privilege it is to be a person of faith. What a privilege it is to be able to live life and have God as a part of that life, to be the foundation of our lives. And also the author and finisher of our faith. So real quick, I just want to take a moment, let Joseph do a little shout out from your Family Strong team and what you want to see tonight.
Oh, man. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege. And you talk about, being thankful, super thankful for the opportunity to come on and do this mashup. And rather than say it's just Family Strong and Equip Night, man, you got to throw the little world shakers in there too, because Abby and Brandon are definitely representing. So we got a pretty powerful trio. We got the trifecta tonight, guys. So be sure to keep the comments coming in. I'm excited, Pastor Stefan. The show normally airs on Thursday night, but when you called and said, hey, let's do a mashup, I said, absolutely, count me in. I'm a little jealous, though, because my background last week looked a lot like Brandon and Abby's, and I don't got that flowing tonight. So I'm a little jealous.
You set the tone. I was like, we got to make this cozy. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I need a fireplace that I don't have behind me. All the food.
Yeah.
I'm excited, Pastor Stefan. I see a lot of familiar names. This platform is phenomenal. This is the first time I've personally been on this with you. So I'm kind of doing some commentating as well as you are, but to see them flowing at the same time is super cool.
Yeah, it's such a fun. So we're using Restream. If you guys don't know, just a couple shout outs. Daniel, hey buddy, how you doing? Judy, of course. Melissa Flores, great to see you guys. Thanks for the shout out about my goatee. I do really appreciate it.
Nice. What about Chris and Dianette? What's up, Chris? I see you on there. Love you both, man. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I love all you guys. So I just want to say that it's been a crazy day. I feel like it's been crazy for everybody. I went to the store and it was full of crazy people who are trying to get a bunch of stuff. We're doing a 12-pound turkey, so I feel better about my life. Last year it was 24 pounds, and I had no idea what I was doing. So I was like YouTubing the whole time as I like attempted to cook. Brandon, I have a feeling that's probably you and me. In this relationship.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Joseph's got, I mean, every time I text him, he's like, why don't you fry it? I'm like, how do I fry the thing? He goes, you need a turkey fryer. I'm like, I don't have a turkey fryer. Like, so I'm sure you have one. Am I, Joseph, do you have a turkey fryer?
I do not have a turkey fryer, but I did look at them. I'm not going to lie. Bass Pro Shop had them on sale. So I'm pretty up to date on turkey fryers.
Where is there a Bass Pro Shop? For those of you who don't know, we're in North Carolina.
It is in Rancho Cucamonga. It is off the 15 freeway in Victoria Garden. And if you have not been there, if you are an outdoorsy person like I am, it is like heaven.
So I'm a big fan of Bass Pro Shop. I just always feel like I always buy things I'll never use. Like, you know, you go there and you see some big kayak and you're like, why am I not kayaking? Like, this is crazy. And then you buy kayaking pants. You never use them. Yeah, so that's that. But real quick, so what are you guys going to do for your Thanksgiving? People in the chat, let us know before we dive into this, if anyone has any like super crazy Thanksgiving plans.
So while they're talking, last night Little World Shakers had a movie night and we watched Jingle Jangle on Netflix together on Zoom, and it totally set our whole week right.
Yeah, great movie. I recommend it to all the families with Little World Shakers.
Yeah, it's so fun.
That movie, if you guys haven't seen Jingle Jangle, is phenomenal. It's kind of like The Greatest Showman meets Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
So like almost like the all black cast with the Hamilton vibe, with like the hip hop and just like this incredible production. But it has a very it just reminds me a lot of The Greatest Showman. So if you're a fan, and I actually think it's going to have staying power. Like I feel like The Greatest Showman became this really interesting film within film history, specifically for like musical movies. And I have a feeling Jingle Jangle is probably going to be included in that. But it's a really, really great film. So good for you guys. Thank you for the invite, by the way. I really appreciated it. I'm sorry I couldn't go, but I wasn't invited.
Yeah, and it probably, the mail invitation is probably still on its way. I know.
All this holiday shipping. Sorry, Stefan, it's behind.
Wait, I got to point out real quick that Pastor Tim, who's on here, hello, Pastor Tim, he actually gave you credit, Pastor Stefan, for Thanksgiving. So I just wanted to make mention, he gave credit where credit was due. Thanksgiving.
Which is a great segment to kind of go into the night's topic. And so tonight, I just wanted to take a little bit of time and talk about what it means to be thankful for everything God has done in our lives. But it's also a time, I think, to really reflect on how to be a thankful person in every part of your life. And there's something just incredible about being able to have an attitude of gratitude. That's something that people say a lot. A mindset of thankfulness, which I think is also really, really important. But I also think there's a next level to that, and that's living thankfully. Mm-hmm. I just did a really incredible study on the book of Colossians, and basically, the book of Colossians is a letter that Paul writes to a small church in Colossae Colossae is a small town in Turkey, and there was even a smaller church there. It wasn't very big at all. And Paul had a friend named Epaphras who was an evangelist like Paul. And so Paul was in prison, and he was in prison because he was announcing Jesus as the king of the world. And the folks didn't like that in Rome, so they threw him in prison. And he heard about this really small church in Colossae. Never met them before. And through his friend. And so as he was talking to his friend in prison who was visiting him, which I think is a really cool thing to do, his friend was telling him, Epaphras was talking about how, hey, this is the church I started. They're doing incredible. But in the midst of that, a lot of members feel like they're dealing with a lot of pressure. And it was interesting because if you read the book of Colossians, you can get a sense of that everyone, I feel like with 2020, we've all dealt with pressures. We all feel like there are forces and powers that are dictating our lives. That's been like a real strong theme, I think, this year, that none of us can control. Like, no one works in Washington. I'm not a senator. Like, you don't work for the CDC. So all these decisions are being made outside of us, and those decisions are dictating our lives and what we have to do. And so it's interesting because the folks in Colossae were going through a very similar thing that we were going through. They were dealing with all these pressures and tensions. And so Paul writes them this incredible letter. And in the letter, he encourages them, and he goes through all these things that they should know, that it is Jesus who conquered the powers of this world. It's Jesus who's the Messiah. It's Jesus who is the author and finisher of your faith. And he names all these things. And then as he kind of goes through it, Paul gets to a point where he says, and above all, be thankful and live a life of gratitude. And he says it right before he goes into chapter 2. And in chapter 2, he then says, I'm suffering for the gospel for you, which is an incredible thing to say because Paul is literally in prison. And he's super happy in the letter, and he's joyful and celebratory, and he's telling these folks who are going through some tough stuff the importance of being thankful while he's going through tough stuff. And it's just this incredible letter about keeping things in perspective in life and knowing who is really who is the author of your life and who is going to finish the race for you, and what it means to live as a person of faith, as a part of the people of God. And that even though we might have tough times, maybe we go through things, even though we sometimes feel like there are forces or things that are always dictating our lives, principalities and powers, right? Spiritual and external, like things in the world. Above all, Paul says, be thankful in all things. And it's such an amazing verse, and I think it has such a big impact on the way that we should think about the world as being people of God, that above all, that we have love, we have compassion, we have grace, we have the presence of God, but in all that, we should be thankful and live a life of thankfulness in all things. Joseph, what do you think?
I agree. I believe, we're all going through stuff, right? Everybody's going through a time or a season right now, kind of within the season, right? What I like and what I've been talking about a lot lately is, when you're thankful and how thankfulness really promotes generosity. And I think it's important that we remember that no matter what we're going through, is that we need to realize how abundantly we've been blessed.
Yeah.
We have all been abundantly blessed. And there's a good scripture that I've been meditating on, and it's in 2 Corinthians 9, and it talks about the same exact thing I'm saying. It's in verse 11. It says, you will be enriched in every way, so you can be generous on every occasion. And through us, your generosity will result in thanksgiving to God. And it's just been something that I've been meditating on, and I believe that thankfulness should be a lifestyle, Pastor Stefan. We should be thankful 364 days out of the year, not just on Thanksgiving, and that's really what my focus has been on this week, really with the Family Strong ministry, is how being thankful really promotes generosity.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And there's so many, I think, ways to be thankful. We often think of the power of being thankful in the better times, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going through great things. So say we have a big deal, or we get blessed, or we build a house, or we have assets, right? And so we often think of thankfulness in relationship to abundance. But I think that, just to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, sometimes it's in the stretching moments that we can say, Lord, I'm being really stretched right now. Thank you for the privilege of being stretched.
Yeah.
Thank you for the privilege that I get to learn something. Even though this is super hard, at least now I'll have empathy for people who are going through this.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a thankfulness in that, and finding that ability to however tough something is, to say, you know what, like it might be 80% terrible, but the 20%, I'm thankful to be alive. I'm thankful for the privilege. I'm thankful for the learning opportunity. I'm thankful to trust God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful to activate my faith, even if I really need it. And I think when you can do that, that's what it means, I think, to live a life of faith, is that in all seasons and all areas, to be able to say, you know what, God, in this moment, I don't have it all together, but I'm going to be thankful.
Absolutely.
I lack for the privilege to even go through this, and to learn from it, and to grow from it, and to see your love in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, what I also like too, Pastor Stefan, is, I think sometimes we forget that thankfulness is so contagious.
Yeah.
It's a contagious thing where, we talked about this, Brandon and Abby, a couple of weeks ago. What are we delivering? What's the message we're delivering right now? Are we delivering a message of, thankfulness, attitude of gratitude, hope, faith, inspiration? Or are we delivering a message right now, Pastor Stefan, that's of fear? Are we scared? Uncertainty? I think it has to do a lot with the way we deliver the message during the holiday seasons and beyond.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Brandon, Abby, what do you think?
Well, I just wanted to acknowledge Rena Booker. She just commented on, while you guys were talking, about our teaching and how that has really helped her relationship with her mom. And I just want to acknowledge that when I think about the particular passage of Colossians, I think about all of us being united, and that word knitted in love, which is in all of our fabric and all of our DNA. It's so applicable during this time and in this season to make practical what it means to have thanks living, and to demonstrate it. We, Joseph and Felicia, my wife and I, we spoke with Pastor Page the week before just about the demonstration process. And I believe that word comes back around again, and that we are all demonstrators of this thankful living, and to be God dependent in its perspective. I think that's what Paul really pointed out in Colossians.
Yeah, I love that God perspective point of view, because, again, attitude of gratitude is something people say a lot, and there's a lot of truth to that. I think there's a general principle. Having a sense of gratitude is meaningful. But I think on top of that, like as people of faith and as Christians, there's another level to it. It's not just a sense of gratitude. It's that as people of faith, we know who God is, and we know his love, and we also don't know his love by ourselves. I mean, all of us are part of the Congregation.Family. I mean, God met us all on our own roads, and he brought us all to this place, and he brought us into this family. And I always tell people that the church it's a community, but it's way more than a community. There are a lot of communities. There are dozens. I mean, there are so many kinds of communities, but the church is the only community that's also in community with Jesus made manifest. And that's why people can go to a church and they can cry and break down and be healed from things. And you guys know this all the time at the Congregation.Family, it's quite common that we'll talk to someone on Sunday and they will say something like, "I've never felt this way before. I've never felt the presence of God." I mean, what's actually happening? Well, God is literally present. The Holy Spirit is literally present in a way that he isn't present anywhere else in the world. And it's that community that the people of God have with God. Mm-hmm. And so when we say, be thankful, it's like part of it's a mindset, but it's also the second step of that. It's to say that you have a relationship with God and you have been brought into this global family of people of God that includes every Christian living today, the billions around the world, and every Christian that has ever lived. And all of us have been brought up in God. And so when we go through things, we really don't walk alone. We can truly be thankful in all things, knowing that everything we go through is in God's hands.
Yeah.
Amen.
I think about what you guys have been talking about, and Little World Shakers had a message this month about celebrating what God is doing as part of being thankful. And there was a story about David and his wife, how she was very into like this idea of privilege and we're above everyone else. We don't really associate with those people. And he wanted to be around all the people and wanted to be in the mix. And just listening to all of you guys tonight, I'm hearing like this idea of part of being thankful and part of being where we find our gratitude, and is knowing that we're not alone and we're not in this journey by ourselves. And in finding that we're in this journey together, we're able to start to do things much larger than if we went about them on our own. And Little World Shakers partnered with FamilySTRONG, and this month was able to raise money and feed the homeless in downtown LA. They partnered with the LA Mission. And it was so beautiful because as that story was talking about, David would be in the streets with all kinds of people dancing, and he was joyful because he was like, man, God is with us. God is like doing stuff. And that is enough to celebrate. And as I saw the kids yesterday dropping off the goods, there was like, they're looking around and all of them made a comment in their own way of what they were seeing of all these homeless people. But at the same time, there was this joy in each one of them that was like, oh my gosh, we get to give, we're feeding the homeless, we're doing something. And one of the kids even stopped before we even unloaded anything and said, can we pray over the food so that it blesses them more before we give it to them? And it was just so beautiful to see that when we connect and when we really lock arms with each other and see that we're part of this community of God, we're really able to bless, and not only be blessed within ourselves, but bless so many outside of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. There's, it's interesting. I love that, and it's so true. Basically, what you're describing is when you practice generosity, what you find is that there's always enough. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the generosity is the gateway to abundance. I mean, really. And one of my favorite verses in Scripture, and people always kind of get it wrong, I think, if I'm being super blunt, is the story of Jesus where he's talking to his disciples. And Jesus has all these like funny lines where he says, like, when someone takes something from you, like when they take, your coat, give them your shirt. Or he says, when a Roman centurion asks you to carry their pack for a mile, which they were legally allowed to do, it was a very humiliating thing to do to Jews. He says, carry it for two. When someone strikes you, let them strike you again. And, that's like a crazy thing to say. And it sounds nice, but like, who the heck knows what it means? Like that, for years I read that and had no idea what the heck Jesus was talking about. But after more study on it, it's kind of a really incredible principle, because what essentially Jesus is saying is, he's saying, if someone takes something from you, they might as well take double. Mm-hmm. if someone robs you, they might as well take more. If someone puts you down, if someone hits you, they might as well as hit you twice as hard, because it won't matter in light of God's generosity.
So powerful.
And so if you kind of read it like that, it's a really incredible thing to say. I mean, it's like a baller thing to tell people, like, because we're all, going through stuff, and you could see the scene. The disciples are like going to Jesus, and they have like their bag of issues, and they're like complaining. And then his response is basically like, it might as well have been twice as bad, because ultimately anything you need is in God. But I also think that the only way to make that real is to practice thankfulness and generosity first. We talk about this all the time in our church, that faith is a contact sport, particularly Christianity. It's not really a spectator sport.
Yeah.
And so that's something I saw a lot, when I was in like the academy. You see a lot of folks who I think they think Christianity is about ideas. It's about like holding certain views, but that's not really what Christianity is. It's to have faith means you have to come in contact with something. So if you want to be thankful, you got to practice it. Like if you want to see what Jesus is talking about, you got to be generous. You got to come in contact with it.
Yeah.
And then in that, I think that's when you begin to see things open up in a really incredible way. Joseph, I see you nodding your head.
Today I was talking about how, thankfulness displays God's character. And you said exactly what I talked about today. And it was that when we activate and practice gratefulness, right? So we got to activate that. It's action. We become more of who God created us to be. And it couldn't be more true. And then I had a quote that I talked about this morning, Pastor Stefan, that it said, unlike talent, gratitude is something that is freely available to all of us and completely within our control. And I thought that was powerful when I read that, that gratitude is something that's freely available. It doesn't cost anything. It's free to all of us. But guess what? It's within our control. It starts with us. We got to be the catalyst of change. We got to be the catalyst of being thankful. We got to be the catalyst of gratitude. So that was a little bit what I was talking about this morning on our morning devotion time for the Family Strong ministry.
Which I think is so great. And I just want to follow up with this because Curtis asked a really interesting question that relates exactly what you just said. And so he said, what does it mean to be truly grateful for God for the many blessings, yet still have selfish desires? And how do you feel grateful with that feeling not being totally satisfied? And I think, Joseph, you hit it right on the head. And I can even talk about this from personal experience. Sometimes you got to do it by faith. That's what it means to be in contact with it. And Brandon, I'd love to hear your thought after this, because just conversations we've had. But sometimes if you don't feel like you can do something, like say someone in your life really hurts you, like a loved one or a spouse, you might not have what you need in that moment to absorb whatever you're going through. But you can also say, I choose to forgive, but at the same time say, I'm going to do it by faith. And I think the same thing is true in like when we deal with being unsatisfied in life, because often we're unsatisfied because we think we need something that we really don't. Mm-hmm. And it has a lot to do with our internal drives as human beings, and we all have different drives. But there's just something about saying, you know what, I don't feel satisfied. Like I don't feel like there's like something in me. But by faith, I'm going to be thankful. And by faith, I'm going to be generous on purpose. Even though I feel like I can't I'm going to do it, and I'm going to exercise it. And even if I don't have it all, I'm just going to, by faith, believe God is going to take me the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think exactly to what you both are saying. And great question, Curtis. I seen that earlier. And thank you for expounding on that. What I sense in all of this is that, for one, we all have a selfish nature. So that's normal.
Yeah.
For two, like Pastor Stefan, like you were saying, there's so many different ambitions that we have and different drives that we have, depending on different times and seasons in our life and for different reasons. And I think it's very important to be aware of those things, to recognize those things that come up. But more than that, I believe that the practice thereof, realizing that it's not about feeling. If you may not feel like getting up in the morning, but you have to. Mm-hmm. You have responsibilities, right? You have obligations. And so there are people that are depending on you. But in the same sacrificial giving, in terms of to combat the selfish desires that you may have and that may come up, I believe that practice overrules any feeling. And in time, sometimes sooner than later, we'll realize that one thing that I believe we're all connected to, and that is it's better to give than receive. And realize that other people may need certain things more than we need at that particular time because of the overflow that we're living out of. So it's more of a practice, I believe, in the
Yeah. I think that's so good. And it's true. I mean, again, it's better to give to receive is one of those things that people say, but it's like literally psychologically true.
Yeah.
Like it's actually true. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's one of the, it's probably one of the single most important lessons I've learned over the last 12 years, if I'm being super honest. I think when you're young, particularly in this culture, everything's about you. So you're thinking about how you're going to make yourself and who you're going to be and yada, yada, yada. And at some point, you just get to a place where it stops becoming about you and it becomes about what you can do and the value you can add and how you can bless people. And that becomes kind of the metric. It changes the way that you think about it and say, you know what, like, I know who I am, one, because I respect myself, but my respect comes from watching me do things I respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so showing up, sacrificially giving, being dependable, doing it for yourself, like for your own sense of who you are and who you want to be. And being one of those folks that just show up and give first.
Mm-hmm.
There's something so edifying about that. And it's one of the things that just as someone who's 31, you look at people who are like 18 to 35 and, after life beats you up a few times and you've taken some awful hits, you kind of get it. Like it's not really about you. And the faster you get it, the better. I think it takes some moments, but I think when you can find that and you really realize that I have agency, I have the ability to create value, but I also have the ability to give value.
Mm-hmm. I
have the ability to see somebody and see value in them. And even if they don't, I can bless them with that by me seeing it.
Yeah.
And there's something about that that I think is just so meaningful. Joseph, I see you again.
Oh, I literally feel like I'm a rerun because all this week I've been focusing on, thankfulness. That's been really what I've been talking about all week long. And as you were talking, I think what jumped to my mind was thankfulness cultivates humility. What I heard saying was there's a humility aspect to it. And, we can't lose sight on what we choose to be thankful for. It's easy to be thankful for the big things. It's so hard to be thankful for the small blessings in our lives.
Yeah.
It's in the small things though, sometimes where the biggest impact is made. And I think it's up to us to foster a heart of humility and a spirit of graciousness.
Yeah.
Really quick, I was thinking as Stefan, you were sharing when you said that faith is a contact sport, and even this idea of gratitude is like it requires action. I think of headspace and heart space. So when you're playing this or doing this practice of gratitude, you can operate from a headspace and it can be like very surface level of where you're feeling the gratitude. But if you allow yourself to enter the heart space and really allow yourself to feel, and I think of there was an interview with Maya Angelou, and she got so emotional as she said, I can't believe that God would love me, like that He would love me. And I think when we put it into perspective on this level, it does humble you. And she was humbled in that moment of like, man, how did I deserve that kind of love? And it really changes the way that you're thankful and how you're thankful for things when you reach into your heart space and try to connect to it on a deeper level.
Yeah. What you're talking about is letting it speak to you personally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I had a moment in ministry where it was maybe like 2 or 3 years in, where, you know, you're doing the thing. I would say I was like going to my junior year. And I kind of had a moment where I realized, like, you know, I'm spending all this time asking people to be willing enough to let God kind of break them and put them back together, right? That idea that you're going to God and you're burying all.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a moment where I realized, like, if I'm asking people to do that, I have to be willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because sure, like in my case, I went to school a long time. And so I've always had access to the world. And so it's easy to make it impersonal. You're talking about that headspace. It's easy to think about it as a set of ideas.
Right.
My Christian walk is, it's simply a set of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
If I vote here and I have this belief, like I'm, you know, and I say the prayer, I'm good. And that's not really what Paul is selling in Colossians. It's much more like you as a person come in contact with your Creator.
Yeah.
And you are fully revealed in all your flaws to Jesus, who sees you and fully embraces you. Mm-hmm. And that, like, inner connection, how can you not be thankful? Mm-hmm. And so I think in the case of Paul, it's unique that he's talking about thankfulness as it relates to your personal relationship and your knowledge of the love of God personally. Mm-hmm. Because for Paul, they're connected. And so he's writing to his audience and he's saying, continue to press in, continue to let your heart be broken, to continue to let God into who you are and to reshape the very structure of who you are. Mm-hmm. And in that, you will not only find all these things, but you will also find love and above all, be thankful. Yeah. And so I just couldn't agree with you more. Like, you know, I think the more you get to know God, and you find God in the intimate moments, and the intimate moments are not always in a prayer closet. The intimate moments are literally like hard moments. It's moments where you don't have anybody.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, yeah, this is hard. No one is here. Like, and I have to do this by myself, and I'm supposed to know how to do this. Mm-hmm. And like, no one can talk to me. You know what I mean? I'm getting emotional thinking about, like, and I think it's in those moments,
right,
that you can then open your heart and say, but God, you are here. Jesus, you love me. Mm-hmm. Jesus, you never forsake me. You accept me as I am. I can go to you in every moment. And I think it's that connection, and when you're able to foster that and have it, and again, it only comes in the contact moments. It's like I literally got hit with a 2x4. Like, I'm either going to drink this bottle of Jack Daniels, or like I'm going to just cry it out with Jesus. Like, honest, like, you know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. It's in those contact moments where like you come in contact with the love of God. And it's just you and him. And it's like, how can you not be thankful? Yeah. Like, how can you not live in a way that is thankful in all things? Because, you know, I just think that, I mean, you know God in those personal moments that are very, very tough, but it's in those moments that I think the deepest faith gets birthed. Mm-hmm. I want to respect everybody's time. So I just want to do closing thoughts. You know, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. It's been a heck of a year for a lot of folks. But just to you guys, what does it mean to be thankful, and what's something you're really thankful for?
You guys want first?
Go ahead.
Here's what I think, Pastor Stefan, is man, this Thanksgiving is going to look different, you know, last year. And, you know, for me, I'm thankful for many things, so much to be thankful for. But here's what I'll say, that the thankfulness for me has really activated the response in me to be a responder. And like Abby was saying yesterday about the LA mission and the kids going down there to, you know, help partner with them and drop off food. I mean, it was a highlight yesterday. I know Thanksgiving's tomorrow, but it was a highlight for Felicia and it was a highlight for Jude because they got to partake and go down with Abby and the Little World Shakers yesterday. And really, that's what Thanksgiving's all about. You know, sure, the turkey's great. Sure, that stuff's fun. But yesterday, seeing them be able to go down and me stay home and watch, you know, Joel, to me, that's really what Thanksgiving's all about. And just being blessed to be a part of a church that is about giving, you know, about giving and putting others first. And, you know, we'll be home. We'll enjoy our time tomorrow as a family. And what I've been stressing on Family Strong is make new memories. Make new memories, because you will remember these memories during the pandemic 5 years from now. You're going to look back and you're going to remember. So make new memories and cherish the time with your family, your kids, and your loved ones.
I love that.
I am most thankful, kind of just a culmination of everything that was said tonight, of just being able to be a wounded healer. And in all of the things that we face, and I think this year was a perfect example that in the midst of our challenges, in the midst of the things we can face, that God can still use us. And just to have the opportunity to be a catalyst in God's plan and be able to just work with little kids and help them see who God is, and then go about and be changers too. And I'm ultimately thankful for that, and thankful that I had someone through all of this quarantine to go through with and laugh and cry and do all the things.
He's a good-looking someone.
I know. Thank you, God, for that.
I think I can't say it better than that. I think this year, and I know there's many people who probably agree, has come with its challenges, but I think in the midst of those challenges, if we think too much about those challenges, we'll miss the lesson, essential lesson to be grateful. And so I think this time around, Thanksgiving for me, and what I'm thankful for is just another layer or layers of growth, individually, collectively. And I say that not just here, but even all around, as a church, as a people, as a community. Just really grateful, because you may think, and I say that to all of you watching, you may think we're teaching you, but you know what? I'm learning a lot at the same time. I'm learning a lot from you guys, and it brings me joy, and I'm grateful for that. So
yeah. I think I'm going to piggyback off you just in the thankfulness department. When I first started ministry, I thought the job was to just stand in front of people and speak, and it makes sense, because when you attend church, you see one guy talking to everybody. Mm-hmm. But then when you actually do it, you spend most of your time looking at a few hundred people that know and love God.
Yeah.
And it just changes your view. You really realize it's not about you at all. You realize that it's about a family. It's about all these folks who have different stories and personal relationships with God and have really gone through so many things, and they're smiling and blessing you. Mm-hmm. And so I think that this year I'm thinking a lot about the Congregation.Family, our church, the privilege to be a part of such an amazing church. And for us to really be a family. I mean, Joseph, you've literally become my brother. Brandon, you've become my brother. Abby, you're like my sister. And so, the fact that we've actually become close as friends, not only colleagues, I think is just been such a huge blessing, especially this year. Yeah. So I'd love to just pray everybody out, and just let everyone know. Have an amazing Thanksgiving. A couple plugs. 1 p.m. Little World Shakers every Sunday. Hey. Noon, 12:30. Check out Brandon and Dalton. Let them fill you with some wisdom. I always feel like I'm looking up stuff after I watch you, which is like great because I'm a nerd. Joseph, I mean, you've just been doing phenomenal Family Strong, and you got stuff all the time. I don't even have kids, and I watch your tip of the weeks, just to make sure I'm on it when it does happen eventually. I'll have those things. At least I have those tips. So I love you guys. Let me just pray. Father, thank you so much for every single person a part of the Congregation family. Thank you for every person who joined us tonight. But thank you for every person who's celebrating Thanksgiving. Father, be with them. This is a season to be thankful for who you are and what you did in and through Jesus for all of us. Let us be thankful for your love, for your generosity, Lord, for everything that you give us. Let us not waste this moment to know who you are better. And Father, use us. Let us be people who not only have an attitude of gratitude, but practice thanks living, that we give thanks in every area of our life so that we might bear witness to the goodness of you and all that you have done for us in the world. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Love you guys.